Okay, good evening and welcome to the Tewksbury Conservation Commission meeting of June 9th, 2021. Due to the current state of emergency, open meeting law policy set forth by the governor during this current state of emergency, the meeting will be held virtually. If anybody would like to participate, you can call in at 978-771-0819. I'm going to call them the meeting to order. Before we get on to anything, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself because there's a lot of background noise. I appreciate it. Okay. Approval of minutes of May 26th. Stefania, I didn't see any minutes.
We did not get any minutes.
Okay, so we can skip over that. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to skip to items that we will not be hearing tonight, and that goes to item B. It was a public hearing request for determination of applicability. Pan Am Railways, Bill Wallace, Chief Engineer of Track and Structures, Pan Am Rights of Way. It assumes that Mr. Wallace has withdrawn this application. Stefania, do we have to have a motion to accept the withdrawal, or can we just skip over it?
I would make a motion.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the withdrawal for Bill Wallace, Chief Engineer, Track and Structures, Pan Am Right of Way. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote? Mr. Walsh?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Ronan?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going to go to item C. It's continued from 5/26/2020, a public hearing notice for 10 Andrew Cole, New England Power Company, 205 Washington Street, map 49, lot 34, DEP number 3051137. This applicant has requested a continuance to our 6/23/2021 meeting. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye as well. And this is a reminder too that if we do vote on anything, there's only 3 of us here, so it would have to be unanimous. All right, now we're back to item A. It's request for certificate of compliance. James and Joanne Presetta, 725 Main Street, map 34, lot 42, DEP number 3051051. Is there anyone here for that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dick Cuco here representing the applicant. I'm going to share my screen. If that's okay with you.
Okay.
All right. We were here a few weeks ago, and there were some issues that there was some construction debris left in the area here between the post and rail fence and the 25-foot no disturb zone. The applicant has gotten that area taken care of. Most of the items that are on here are taken care of. We do not have a final sign off from DPW, but that's mostly, Mr. Chairman, because of the sign. Right now, there's a temporary real estate sign there, which is larger than the permanent sign. So what we're going to request is to continue this because it's an administrative action until such time as we've cleaned up the sign. That way we don't have to keep coming back and forth reporting that there really isn't a lot of progress. I did get an email from Stefania today relative to the no disturb markers were not placed on the fence. So we ordered those. As a matter of fact, they're in stock. I got them today. We'll probably be installing those this week. And hoping to get a final sign off from DPW without the sign. And if we do get that, sir, then we'll come back for a certificate of compliance, as I don't believe the sign is anything that would concern the Conservation Commission. It's outside the 100-foot buffer zone and it's in the grassy area. So, but I would, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Board members, any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Stefania, any issues?
No, just so you want to continue to a date to be determined outside of the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion for continuance of request of certificate of compliance for James and Joanne Preset address 725 Main Street, map 34, lot 42, DEP number 305-1051 for a date to be determined. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Missing people on my list is Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, now we're skipping down to item D. It's a public hearing notice of intent. Kelly Doherty, New England Power Company, M135, 139/North 140, transmission line row off 715 Main Street, map 34, lot 33, 43, and 44, DEP number 305-1138. Is there anyone here for that?
Yes, this is Paul Martin from BSC Group representing New England Power.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. So do you want me to share a screen and I can kind of walk you through some of the pertinent information?
That would be fine.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I'm going to make the announcement of the phone number again. If anybody has any wants to participate, 978-771-0819. Okay, go right ahead.
Okay, so you can see the USGS map.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the overall project is a maintenance project that New England Power is undertaking on the M139 N140 line, which runs into Billerica. And the project consists of installing a fiber optic cable around the shield wire along the line to improve the communication ability along the line. New England Power is doing a lot of improvements to their communication systems throughout their system in response to some FERC and ISO and NERC requirements relative to cybersecurity and system reliability and safety, so that they can communicate easily between substations and deal with situations that may come up during operation of the facility. Most of that work involves a little machine that basically runs along the shield wire, which is the tallest wire up on top of the structures, and it wraps the fiber optic cable around the shield wire. In most places, all they need to do is get a bucket truck into the structures so that when the little machine comes to the structure, they can disconnect it from the shield wire on one side and lift it over and reattach it, and then it goes down the wire to the next structure. And so can you now see this little machine? So that's the installation machine. You can see it's relatively small. It's got like a chainsaw size little motor that drives it along the cable, and then the spool of the fiber optic cable, and it gets spiral wrapped around the shield wire as it travels down the line.
So this is running down on the line itself, correct?
On the shield wire, not a conductor wire.
Okay, well, if it's running on a wire, it's not running
Yep.
on the ground.
Right.
Okay.
You can use this cable is up top, the thicker one, and then the black thin thing is the fiber optic. So this is already installed up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the shield wire, as described in the NOI, is missing from a couple locations or needs to be.
Excuse me, I can't see. I'm still seeing the map. I'm not seeing that you're talking about.
Well, I moved the little machine. Do you still need to see the machine?
I never saw it.
Same as
Yeah,
seeing the map.
I'm only seeing the map myself.
Oh, maybe it's the way that I decided to share. Let me go back to. Let me try sharing again. Share content. Let me pick a different image. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so now are you seeing the little machine?
Yes, we are.
Okay, sorry. So anyway, the thicker wire there is the shield wire that's already installed from structure to structure. And then the thinner black wire will be the new fiber optic. It gets spiral wrapped around the shield wire as this device moves down the shield wire. And you can see it requires to be disengaged from the shield wire at each structure, lifted up and over by someone in the bucket truck, and then reattached, and on its way goes to the next structure. So that's 95% of the work as maintenance work. Let me stop sharing that unless you have any questions about the device.
So it's, yeah, all it is like a ski lift pulling a wire along with it.
Basically, yeah.
So there's nothing touching the ground other than when they get to the pole that they have to just flip it over.
Yep. They disengage it, lift it up 10 feet, put it back on the wire on the other side, and off it goes.
Okay.
All right. Let me stop sharing that. Go back to sharing the map. Content. Are we back to the map?
We're back to the map.
Okay. So the couple things that are resulting in impacts to BVW that are filed in the NOI are these couple of structure replacements at structure 141, 142 on the 337 line, which crosses the 139, 140. And during a prior project, they removed that section of shield wire at that time because when they reconductored that new line, the shield wire was too low on the 337 line. So they're going to replace structures 141 and 142 with taller structures so that they can get the shield wire in place. And then over on structures 3 and 4, it's kind of the same situation. There's a jitney bus there that is got shorter towers, and those need to be raised so that the shield wire and the sky wrap will pass between the jitney bus structures. Let me get off that map and describe. So the structures to be replaced are this 141 that I'm circling here, which is in a little upland area surrounded by wetlands. It would be matted. And then in the upper left is the 142 structure that would be replaced, and it's in the buffer zone adjacent to some BVW. And if we go to, and so in addition to the matting around the structures, this access road comes in from the lower part of the image, and construction roads in wetland areas will be added so the impact will be temporary, posing any fill or stone or anything. And then for here's a continuation of that road. Kind of see, and then ultimately, okay, so here's the structures 3 and 4, and you can see that maybe you can't see. Well, over here you can see there's a line running kind of diagonally and that crosses over the 140, 139. So in order for the sky wrap to be installed on the shield wire, these need to be raised and the shield wire added between structures 5 and 5A. So those are the four, and you can see that structure 3 is not in any resource area other than a little bit of the work pad is in buffer zone here. Structure 4 is in BVW along with the work pad. Now let me go to the table. Yeah, so here's the table of the structures. So the structures at 141 and 142 are 8-foot diameter caissons and 7-foot diameter caissons, and the structures on structure 4 on the jitney bus is 8-foot diameter. The reason that these don't fall under the utility maintenance exemption is because they are a substantial enlargement of the foundational area compared to placing, a wooden pole with a wooden pole or a steel pole with a steel pole. So that kicks you out of the utility maintenance exemption. And so we had to file for the installation of these caissons. I don't know if you're familiar with the caissons that they use on the transmission line, but basically they set a 8-foot diameter, basically a corrugated metal pipe that's the length roughly of however deep they need the foundation to be. And then they start augering out the soil from inside the caisson as the caisson is slowly pushed in, or the culvert, I guess, is pushed into the ground and ultimately installed to the proper depth. And then in that void that's created inside the 8-foot or 7-foot diameter corrugated metal pipe, they put a rebar basket mesh thing, then they pour concrete. And then before the concrete dries, they put anchor bolts on the top of it, which is then what the towers are bolted onto. And these caissons, they stick up above the ground about a foot. So they do represent a small amount of fill in the BVW or the buffer zone. And so that's the subject of the filing along with, the construction access to get there. Because of this permanent fill, we did develop a mitigation plan that's presented at the end. So basically we have, as you can see here, about 101 square foot of permanent impacts. And within the 25-foot, 216 square feet within the 50-foot and the 100-foot. But in the BVW, we only have 101 square feet of fill, which is 2 towers, two foundations associated with structure 4. So then if you go to, we'll come back to some of these BMPs. The replication area, let me zoom in a little bit. So Main Street here is Route 38. You're probably all pretty familiar with Power Company Road, and off to the left is a rather large substation. I believe you have another New England Power project in front of you that has a little replication area right here. So we just decided to go adjacent to it in a little bit upland next to that BVW. And the replication itself looks like this. Yeah, so this is the other replication area that on the S145 T146 project. So we just carved out about a 220 square foot area. We'll lower the grade, import, organic soils, proper soils, and do the seeding and the plantings, which are presented over in this part of the plan. And I think this is pretty similar list and approach to this mitigation area. And that is pretty much a quick summary of the project. Again, most of the work along the line where the skywrap is going is exempt utility work because it's temporary construction mats, and they aren't replacing any structures along the rest of the line. It's all overhead with that little skywrap machine and bucket trucks accessing each structure, but very little disturbance. And the other thing that I will bring up is that at these foundations, these caisson foundations, we did file an NOI in, I think, August of 2019 for the geotech work. And then we filed a request for certificate of compliance, I think, this past August or September. So you've kind of already seen these foundation structure locations in the filing associated with the geotech borings program. And I will, rather than just talking, I will stop, let you guys ask some questions. Here's the photo. You can see right now that these are 24 to 30-inch diameter wooden poles. And then you would see a bigger concrete foundation in the future that's, 7 feet in diameter. Either just slightly ahead or slightly behind where these poles are, generally within 10 or 15 feet.
Okay. Again, this is a public hearing. The number is 978-771-0819. If anybody calls in, Brian, you can just let me know. Okay, board members, any questions?
I have a question. The restoration of the ROW, it says that the old caissons foundations will be removed to a depth of 18 inches below grade. How much further do they extend down?
It depends on the geotech parameters of the soil and the load bearing capacity. And I would say for these size towers, the average is around 14 or 15 feet, I think.
And that's just the same material as the towers, or what are they?
No, so they're a big 7-foot or 8-foot diameter corrugated metal pipe, like you would see from a big culvert,
Yeah.
and then inserted into the ground vertically and then filled with concrete.
So very similar to the new ones.
Yeah. If you've been out on a right of way where they've done some new, like these are the structures on the 141 and these are perfectly adequate structures, other than that they're too short. But this is what essentially the new structures will look like. I mean, you can't even see the caisson foundation. It's hidden by the earth. There's plants here, and then there'll just be a new set slightly away from where this set is, of very similar looking poles.
Okay, Mr. Walsh, any questions?
Yeah, one minor question. Is there any reason why the restoration for this project's not connecting to the restoration for the other project? It seems like there's a slight sliver of non-wetlands when you showed that map.
Let me go back there. Like right in here.
Yeah, I know minor, but it would be better if all the wetlands were connected as one unit.
Yeah, I think we thought that, if we mess with this edge, then we kind of mess with a little bit of this edge of this one. And the connectivity, the hydrology occurs from the existing wetland out here.
Okay.
And we just thought that, I don't know when this one's gonna get constructed or whatever, but, and it's not, I don't know where the, existing wetland boundary is. I think it's this darker line. Yeah, just didn't want to interfere and possibly, have to restore or redo something that when you're digging all this out, it affects this restoration area. But we felt the reason we put it so close was that it would basically share the same hydrologic connection and everything.
Okay, Stefania, any issues?
No issues, but I do have a few conditions that I would recommend. Pretty much in regards to the replication area. I can
Okay.
read those if you want.
All right ahead.
So there's just two. And the first one is that construction of the wetland replication area must be conducted under the supervision and guidance of a qualified wetland scientist. And any required field changes to the replication area may only occur under the guidance of that wetland scientist. And then the second condition would be that the wetland replication area shall be monitored by the wetland scientist for truthful growing seasons and until the area has established at least 75% revegetation with native species. Any invasive species found during regular monitoring will be removed by hand and the vegetative plant material removed from the site. Monitoring reports shall be submitted to the Conservation Commission after each growing season.
Okay, are we okay with that?
Yes, those
Okay.
are, as far as New England, those are standard procedures that we would follow.
Okay, I want everybody to remember what she just read because I'm not going to read it again when we go to make a motion or anything. All right, Brian, was there any callers?
We have no callers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, in regards to, I'll entertain a motion to approve the notice of intent. Kelly Doherty, New England Power Company, M139/N140 Transmission Line Row off 715 Main Street, map 34, lot 33, 43, and 44 in DEP number 3051138 with the standard order of conditions and the addition of the other two components Stefania just read. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
And Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your time tonight.
Okay.
Bye.
Missing the other two guys, I'm getting all screwed up in my order here. Okay, what's up next is extension request, Town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works, Engineering Division, Pinnacle Street, map 91, lot 13, DEP number 3051002. Okay, Stefania, fill us in.
Actually, so Andrew Stack is here.
Andrew Stack from the DPW is actually here.
Okay.
I'm here to request a one-year extension to this order of conditions. The orders of conditions are set to expire on June 15th. We have not began work on this project yet. A one-year extension will allow for the possibility of construction of this project if the funds become available.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
No questions.
Hearing none. I'm going to entertain a motion To approve the extension request, Town of Tewksbury Department of Public Works, Engineering Division, Pinnacle Street, map 91, lot 13, DEP number 3051002, to the date of March 3rd, 2022 for the extension. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well. All right, that one's done. Now we're on to
Thank you.
another extension request. Town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works, Engineering Division, Main Street, Route 38, map 47, 61, 60, 59, 72, 73, 96, 95 Main Street, right of way, DEP number 3051053. Are you still here for that one?
Yep, and this is Andrew Stack, DPW Engineering Division. We're requesting a one-year extension to this order of conditions. This is the Route 38 water main project that it's pretty much done. We just have some final trench paving, resurfacing that needs to be done, and this will give us a year to complete that.
Okay. This is not a public hearing, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the extension request, Town of Tewksbury Department of Public Works, Engineering Division, Main Street, Route 38, maps 47, 61, 60, 59, 72, 73, 96, 95 Main Street, right of way, DEP number 3051053, to the requested date of May 7th of 2022. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a public hearing, notice of intent, Tewksbury Habitat Build Incorporated, care of Bruce Paniolitis, 1660 Main Street, map 73, lot 40, DEP number pending. Just so you're aware, we will not take any action on this tonight because there is no DEP number. Is there any, and it is a public hearing, so I'll read the number again. It's 978-771-0819. Is there anyone here from the Tewksbury Habitat Build?
Mr. Chairman, Jim Hanley with Civil Design Consultants, along with Dick Kuko and Peter Graham from the applicant Soldier On. If you'll allow me, I'd like to share my screen and walk through the presentation.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thanks. Okay, so I trust you can see the PDF, which is basically the cover page of the architectural plans here, just to give you a sense for what this thing is going to look like. Stepping back a little bit here, project proponent is Soldier On, who is which is a nonprofit entity that helps build residential units for homeless veterans. And at the end of this, we'll give you a little bit more detail on who Soldier On is and exactly what they do. But sticking to the application in front of us here, as noted, 1660 Main Street is the location. We filed the application on the 26th of May last month. I actually took a peek at the DEP website just before the meeting. I did get a file number of 305-1139 just for the record. And really what I want to do tonight is just take about 5 to 10 minutes and walk through the existing site, proposed conditions. We are seeking a couple of waivers, and I think we have reasonable justification for those. So I'd like to talk a little bit about those. So this project has been in the design and permitting process probably for the better part of 9 months at this point. This is the second time in front of your commission. We've gone to planning board, we've gone to the housing subcommittee, we've met with the selectmen, we've done a preliminary IDR. We've tried to take a lot of time to meet with the town to get their thoughts on how this project should move forward. So I'm just saying that for the benefit of anybody that might be watching tonight, that although this is our first meeting with you, we spent an enormous amount of time doing the legwork to try to get the comments before they become comments, really. So you might recall that during the Balsam Place permitting, this portion of the lot was actually subdivided off and provided in one of the forms of mitigation that Balsam Place provided. It's across from I think it's Stoneberry Way. It's approximately 1.5 acres in size. So this kind of gives you a little bit better view, right? You get Stoneberry here, you have Balsam Place here, you have, I believe this is the senior development here, Tanglewood here, and this is on 38. Victor Drive is at the intersection up over here. The site itself is approximately 1.5 acres in area, and we have 250 feet of frontage along the project front. We're located in the multifamily zoning district as well as the CVOD. You can see here that approximately 3/10 of 1 acre, or about 20% of the site, is bordering vegetated wetland. This was delineated and approved again as part of the Balsam Place subdivision. So with that, we have a 25-foot no disturb, a 50-foot no build, and then the state's 100-foot wetland buffer. You've been out there and you've driven by the site over the last year or so. The site has been cut. Trees have been removed, stumped, and there's ongoing earthwork operations. As part of that Balsam Place development, there was earthwork designed and permitted and approved by not just the Conservation Commission, but also the Planning Board to allow for this site to be brought up to grade to eventually be turned into some sort of affordable housing. So what are we doing on site here? So this is our sheet C4. It's our grading and drainage plan, and it kind of gives the overview that I think you guys are interested in. So building footprint is approximately 4,750 square feet. Again, it's affordable veterans housing. It's 21 one-bedroom or studio units. So they're all one-bedroom units. In one significant benefit to the town that this development is providing is that it's offsetting 210 market rate units, which is a huge improvement. This zoning, the underlying zoning, requires us to provide, I believe it's 15% affordable housing. This is 100% affordable housing at this location. And therefore, because it's in excess of 20 or 25%, and their rental units, they offset 210 units. So it's a from a planning perspective, it's a huge benefit. Obviously, all of this will be ADA accessible. We're providing 19 parking spaces. I believe 24-ish or 20, some number greater than 19 is required to satisfy the underlying zoning. Peter Graham will speak shortly after this. He's done a number of these developments throughout New England. They know what their numbers are, so specifically for parking. So we're sticking with that, and we're petitioning the planning board for a reduction in parking, which results in less impervious surface, and then therefore less drainage and the need to capture that additional drainage. Of the 1.5 acres, approximately 0.8 of an acre will be disturbed for the construction, as shown here. Of that, approximately 1/2 of an acre is going to be impervious. How are we catching stormwater and complying with the standards? So around this area, where are we? We are right here. This is a one section of porous pavement, it's approximately 2,500 square feet. And this will capture flow that kind of comes in off of the immediate access drive in the area to the bottom of the building. And then this portion here as well is another almost 3,000 square foot area of pervious pavement. In addition to that, we have a subsurface system located underneath the parking area that will receive flow from one catch basin, as well as the roof and the roof leaders leading into that. So by providing those two BMPs or three BMPs, we comply with the DEP stormwater management standards. We have no increase in peak discharge and no increase in volume. So we also comply with the new zoning regulations and the new EPA stormwater net fee regulations. Now, waivers. I have two waivers for you. Hoping you'll see the benefit of the project as a total to help justify the request for the waiver. So I just kind of colored these up here. We're looking for relief for these three green areas to allow for some disturbance within the 25 foot. We have approximately, these three areas add up to approximately 400 square feet, which is approximately 3% of the 25 foot buffer. I'll get into the reason of the justification and the alternatives analysis in just a second. The yellow area here is the portion of the proposed building within your 50 foot. So we're looking for some relief inside of your 25 as well as your 50. We're taking up approximately 620 feet here, which is about 2% of this buffer. So as an alternative analysis, and what we put in the notice of intent narrative is there's basically three alternatives, one of which is a no build, which no one's interested in. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to provide the veterans housing. Alternative number two really is to wrap significant retaining walls along that 25 foot. We estimated that we need about 300 linear feet of retaining walls that would average a height of about 7 feet. So some would go down to 2 feet, some portions would be 12 feet. We're just going to take an average and call it 7 feet. Super expensive to try to do that in the magnitude of $100,000. It's just too expensive to offset the type of development that we're trying to do here, and it's certainly not preferable. The third option, and this gets into some of the earlier discussions we had with the town, is one option that we had to go through is what's called 40B, and I'm not sure how much the commission is familiar with Chapter 40B, but essentially it allows developers to build affordable housing and bypass some local zoning regulations, one of which would be your conservation regulations. We actually had a lot of discussions with the town. What's the better way to go? Do we go with 40B, or do we go and request these waivers? In the overall consensus from everyone we talked about is that they'd like to still have local control over this, and to come in locally and ask for the waiver. So if we went 40B, we could literally build up to the wetland line, which again, no one wants to do. We do have these 400 to 600 square foot impacts. But all of the remaining, 97% of the buffers are maintained. And then the fourth alternative would be what we're showing in front of you tonight. So those are basically our alternatives analysis. So you have your wetland bylaw, section 18.040404, and it allows the commission to issue waivers. Okay. So I'm just gonna read the pertinent pieces of this, but it says, with strict application of this bylaw or the rules and regulations adopted by the Conservation Commission owing to the shape or topography of the applicant's property would impose severe economic hardship as defined under yada yada yada. A waiver or when a waiver would serve as a substantial public benefit The commission may at their sole discretion grant a waiver from the dimensional requirements of the no disturb zone, no build zone, and allow for impacts on the wetland areas protected by this bylaw. So if you look at these, at the shape of the wetland line and the topography, our request is a result of that lot shape and topography. We talked about the severe economic impacts of complying, and I think there is a obvious public benefit in the form of offsetting a lot of the market rate apartments and providing this affordable project. Plus, we're helping formerly or currently homeless military veterans. So I think we've hit all of those points. So with that being said, that's the existing conditions, the proposed summary, and the waivers that we need, along with our justification. Before I turn it back, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to introduce Peter Graham, who is with Soldier On, who is the applicant, who basically is running the show here, and he can give you a little bit of information about what they do and what they've done in the past, if you have time for that.
Okay.
Peter, you there?
There, now I'm unmuted. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, Commissioner and Commission members. Yes, I just, thanks for the time and all. We, as Jim said, we're a nonprofit. We've been around, based in Massachusetts. We've been around since 1994, and have been, really as a service to veterans organization that has been challenged to find housing opportunities for veterans, and therefore segued into actually building veterans housing, because it was hard to get hard to find veterans housing. And so we were approached by Tewksbury Habitat Build after they were working on this parcel with another organization, and things didn't come to fruition. And so we were in a position with what I would say is a great reputation with the state and the state's Department of Housing and Community Development to come in and try to make this happen, both, as Jim said, getting some offset units and leveraging what should be in the neighborhood of $5 million of state funds to develop an asset to help house veterans, both formerly homeless and currently homeless, that are in the region.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just one final thing from us here too is that we did receive a review letter from the Department of Public Works. I think it was on Monday of this week. We have no, we're not pushing back on anything. We have no issue with any of their comments. We'll make the revisions moving forward here over the next week. We also, same goes for Stefania's letter. Will respond in writing now that we have DPW's review, and we don't take exception with any of these comments at all.
Okay, I have a question. Actually, Brian, is there anyone on the phone? Brian? Oh,
Sorry about that, Mr. Chairman. We have no callers.
You're on mute, Mr. Chairman.
board members, any questions? Hello?
No questions.
Okay, I have a question. If we can go back to the funding. So the state is paying to build this?
So at this point, what we do, we're in a competitive application round this fall to get state funding to build it. So it's the Department of Housing and Community Development. There would also be a mortgage, a private bank mortgage. We would be looking at some local support as well. So it's what they call the capital stack is really a whole lot of mixtures of a lot of different grants and soft debt and awards from the state, which are all proposed because we won't be able to really, once we get a permitted or a zoned project, that's when we can then apply for the state funding, which is in September.
Okay. So it's not funded by the town, but it's funded by the state or privately funded, correct?
Right. Well, so the town, I plan, Soldier On plans to apply for and request money from the Affordable Housing Trust
Okay.
to help with the development. And in fact, the state usually requires a local funding so that as we are essentially leveraging money, it's kind of a dollar from the town brings, $100 from the state kind of thing.
Okay. Actually, I've heard that before, but it never comes to fruition. That was the only question I have, other than one question for Mr. Hanley. You stated that, the area in the no build zone was 2% of the lot. Is it 2% of the lot or 2% of the no build zone square footage?
I have it as 2% of the no build zone.
Okay, that's what I wanted
Yeah, I
answered.
think that's what's written to the conservation narrative. Yeah.
Okay. Stefana, any issues?
No, so I did issue a letter with my comments. What I would recommend is that the commission make a determination if the project meets the requirement of the waiver that is being requested. So that would be the economic hardship waiver. So that should be a discussion that is had.
Well, we're not going to approve any waivers because the public hearing is still open. Did you get a DEP certificate yet?
There is a DEP number that was issued today. No comments yet, but that's typical.
Yeah,
okay.
And so, Jim, just to give you an idea of schedule here, we'll probably get, we're going to the planning board Monday night. We'll set a revised set back out to you as well as planning DPW next week. I believe the planning board meets once in July, which is somewhere about the middle of the month. So, we're at least probably realistically a month away before we come back to you with everything buttoned up.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, folks.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, Dick Cuco here. You folks don't meet, you're meeting again, right, in June?
We're meeting June 15th, I think it is. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
June 23rd.
June 23rd.
Yeah.
And then we go into July. What's the next one in July?
I would have to look that up.
I can look at it.
Maybe July 14th.
July 14th, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So you guys want to go for July 14th?
Jim, I'm thinking we should, if you think there's going to be enough progress that we can talk to the commission about, because we need to get feedback on how they feel on the waiver. Otherwise, when we go to planning board, we'll be kind of showing them something that at least get a straw vote.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think for the 23rd, we can be in a position where we have response letters back for Stefania, for DPW, and for planning. And then maybe we could have a conversation about those waivers. And that would allow us to meet with planning in July with a level of comfort.
Okay. All right. And there's no callers, so I'm going to entertain a motion to continue notice of intent, Tewksbury Habitat Build Incorporated, care of Bruce Penny and Titus, 1660 Main Street, map 73, lot 40, DEP number 305-1139 to our next meeting on July 23rd. Have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Have a second.
June.
June 23rd, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
You,
All right, next on the agenda is an enforcement order ratification. Miriam Abdallah, 1022 South Street, map 109, lot 4. Is there anyone here for that? Is he on mute or am I on mute? You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't.
He's got a little yellow star in the corner there, so. Okay, while we're waiting for him to come back, why don't you fill us in, Stefania?
Okay, so I received a complaint about some tree cutting and some filling on this property. So I went out there to take a look, and it does look like some trees were removed and some fill was brought to the site. So the site is bordered by a stream and surrounded by bordering vegetated wetlands, and the site itself is completely within the floodplain or bordering land subject to flooding. So this work, specifically the fill in the backyard, would definitely have required a permit because it is filling a wetland resource area.
Okay.
So I did issue an enforcement order. One of the conditions was to put up an erosion control, and that was done and inspected and looks good. And then my other condition was to have someone go out there, delineate the wetlands. It did look like some of maybe the bordering vegetated wetland was filled in a little bit. So my third condition was to delineate that wetland and to determine the extent of the impacts and determine the extent of the floodplain impacts as well. So the commission can ratify this and keep it as is, or if they want to, they can ratify it and then amend it to keep the conditions and add conditions or change the conditions. It's up to you.
Okay, so one of your conditions that they have a wetland scientist go out there and determine the wetland flag area, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And I believe I did just see them, but I don't know if it looks like it might be their internet, but.
Okay. Board members, would you like to add anything? Okay. All right, hearing nothing.
I don't know if they can hear us or if they can talk, if they can.
I don't know. We'll get, the little yellow guy is going away there. Now he's back. I don't know if they can hear us or not. Brian, do you see, are they on mute or something?
Mr. Chairman, it looks like they have low bandwidth. And I was trying to unmute them. I was actually unable to unmute them, but they look unmuted now. Let's see.
Okay. Now they're back muted again. Let's give them a second here. Well, anyways, this is, I would like to have them speak, but unfortunately they can't seem to get through. And again, it's not a public hearing. It's just for their own defense, but they can do that with the agent directly. So, here they are now. Can they hear us?
Are you able to maybe call in to the meeting? I don't know.
Yes. Can they call this number, Brian? 978-771-0819.
They can, but I would just suggest that they turn the video portion off and maybe just go with the audio portion because the video's taking up some bandwidth.
I think they're watching the television now and he's trying to call in. All right, what we'll do is since he's not participating and he's having the technical difficulties and not us, I'm going to entertain a motion to ratify the enforcement order for Marianne Abdallah, 1022 South Street, map 109, lot 4. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Stefania, you'll be in contact with them, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'll call them and send them an email with an update and let them know.
Okay, well, we'll move on. But Brian, if they do happen to call in, we'll just put them through and we'll figure something out. Just so we can hear their side of the story or what their plan is or why they did it. All right. Enforcement order update. William Canaxis, 20 Corbett Street, map 103, lot 127. Okay, Stefania.
Okay, so this was an enforcement order that was continued a few times now. They've been restoring the site, and so I went out there last week, and I think that the site looks pretty well. It looks a lot better than it did the first time I went out there. I think like the vegetation is growing back nicely. All the gravel is gone now at this point. So I think that the site looks really good.
Okay, so that's just an update. So they're going to have to come forth for a certificate of compliance, correct?
So we could do that now. We could make a motion to return to compliance if the commission is satisfied.
Gentlemen, board members, any problems?
No, I think it looks pretty good.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to bring William Canaxis, 20 Corbett Street, map 103, lot 127 back into compliance. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Did I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, next on the list is emergency certification ratification, Cliff Water and Sewer, 31 Virginia Road, map 58, lot 165. I am assuming this is a septic tank, Stefania?
Yes.
Okay. Everything good? Everything good with it?
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, I'm going to entertain a motion to ratify Cliff's to ratify the emergency certification, Cliff Water and Sewer Corp., 31 Virginia Road, map 58, lot 165. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well. All right, now we're on to old business. Any old business?
Nope.
All right, any new business?
Nope. So just a reminder, the next meeting is in person.
The next meeting is in person. You won't be in attendance, will you?
I will not be there.
We'll miss you.
We will miss you very much, and we wish you the best too.
Yes.
Anything you can do, you just give us anything we can do for you. Just give us a call.
Thank you.
Oh, there was one new business. I got an email from Mr. Montori in regards to code of conduct meeting. Everybody got that email?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's for the thing at the high school. The other new business was just on the tip of my tongue. I don't remember what it was. It was on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember what it was. Well, I'll remember 2 minutes after we're done. Our next meeting will be held in person again at the town hall, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'm still trying to remember that new business I had. Oh, here it is. The appointments for subcommittees, and the chair makes the appointments. So I'm actually reappointing myself to the CPA. That's what it was. I got another email from Mr. Montori in regards to that. So unless somebody else would like to take it.
What's
Yes, yeah. The CPA, the preservation.
Community Preservation
Community
Committee.
Preservation Committee. And I've been on it since it started, so I might as well just stay with it.
I was gonna say, if you don't want to be on it, I'll take it, but
Yeah.
well,
No, I can take over it. And Stefania, can you let the town clerk know?
Yes.
I think that's the one who I was supposed to respond to. All right. One more new business is Brian and Jason. Thank you very much for all you did over the past year. Really appreciate your support. I think you did a hell of a job.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. That's great to hear. We enjoyed it, most of it.
You enjoyed it.
I don't believe that.
I think I'm taking that back now. All right,
I get
administrators.
to film a meeting in a T-shirt, so it's not too bad.
Administrators reports.
Nothing to report.
Okay, and then I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Have a great weekend.